Welcome back to the Shacknews Awards. We're going to give out kind of a dubious award. It's not the one that most game developers want, but there's a good spirit to it. It's called the Quietest Lobby of the Year. And what it means is it's a game that came out this year that didn't really, maybe it's a multiplayer game that needs people to play it to continue to keep it going. And it just never caught on, or maybe it caught on as a flash in the pan and then kind of fizzled out. Think Lawbreakers, if you're wondering what kind of game we're talking about in this category. Which I believe Gamer Hub TV, Steve, weren't they featured in the accolades trailer for Lawbreakers?
They were.
How about that?
Lawbreakers always hold a place in my heart, unfortunately.
A horribly cursed place in your heart. Anyway, so we have 6 nominees for this category. I'd just like to go through them, and then we can have various people speak to why they think that this game is most deserving of this award. But I think all of these are worthy of the nominations. So here we go. Foam Stars. Remember Foam Stars?
Yep.
I do. It's all over the. It was all over the summer game, Summer of Geoff.
Oh yes, that worked masterfully. I'm sure those hundreds of thousands of dollars spent. Concord.
Yep.
Skull and Bones, the first quadruple A game. I'm seeing a trend here. Has Donovan reviewed every one of these? No.
Skull and Bones
They have
isn't
more A's
real.
than players, and no, I'm the one that reviewed Foam Stars.
That's right. Ozzy reviewed Foam Stars.
I reviewed 2 of them.
Nominee number 4, XDefiant.
Hey, you know.
That's probably the most alive out of all of these, if we're being honest. And that's actually a game it's like fun to play.
Yeah, it also might just be the straight up best game nominated.
Yeah. It's actually a good game. We're not hating on XDefiant here. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. That came out.
$5 on Steam.
It sure did.
$5 on Steam? That came out this year?
It's $5, yeah.
It came out this year. It came out this calendar year, and it's $5 already.
We'll take anything. That's the spirit at Warner Brothers. We'll take anything you're willing to give us. It's a donation
Black
box
Friday.
at this point.
They're keeping the spirit of Black Friday and Cyber Monday alive.
I think there are multiverses microtransactions that are more expensive than that.
Oh yeah, there are.
Right, bus tickets more expensive than that.
And then last but not least in this category, Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Kinda dead. Kinda came and went. So those are the titles. Ozzy, do you want to let the folks at home know a little bit more about Foam Stars?
Foam Stars was Square Enix's attempt at something like an Overwatch type hero shooter. It does not play like Overwatch at all. It is basically like a big bubble party where you're trying to cover opposing players up in giant balls of foam and then you pop them. On paper, it's kind of a good idea. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked what I played of it a little. The reasons I
kind of liked what I played of it a little.
The reason I wasn't so kind to it in the review is a lot of reasons. First of all, I mean, it's technically broken in a lot of places. There wasn't a lot of content to go around, and the single player was wretched. I remember that much. But I thought there was potential for this, and I certainly didn't expect it to die as quickly as it did, because if you'll recall, it was free for the first month for PlayStation Plus subscribers. So they literally gave that game away in the first month, and people were like, yeah, no, we're good. So, I mean, I certainly would have wished better for it. I think it just could have been better, man.
Do you think it would have had a better chance if it was just free to play?
Yeah, and I think they pulled that trigger too late.
Yeah.
They pulled that trigger a few months ago, and I think that's too little too late.
I think that's going to be a trend in this category. So I just wanted to bring it up here first, because that is one where like they put a decent amount of marketing spend behind it too. Like that was going to be a game. Like they wanted it to catch on, and it just didn't.
It wasn't on PC either, was it?
No, I think it's a
PlayStation exclusive. Yeah, that's a kiss of death right there.
Oh yeah, multiplayer games exclusivity on one console, so on one ecosystem is always not a great choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell that to Halo Infinite. Anyway, that's so dead. We don't even have it in the Quietest Lobby. But yeah, we're on to the third
Game.
nominee, which is quadruple A game from Ubisoft. The long-awaited. I know Donovan was really looking forward to this, having covered it for 8 years, I think, or 9 years. I don't know.
We played it at
Skull
E3
and
once.
Bones.
Yeah, a little background to that. Like they showed this game off like 8 years ago at E3, and we had Donovan covering it back then.
Yep.
Was that E3? Was that 2017? Yeah.
Sure was. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. You know, there's a saying that goes, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. It was definitely an interesting concept for a video game. And the old Assassin's Creed games that had pirate stuff were also pretty interesting. And that's about the
I think people really
There's
wanted
nothing.
more
There's
of
got to be
that.
something redeeming about it. They took the combat.
Donovan's. These
More
are
of
box
that,
quotes. These are box quote written all over it.
Jeez.
some of the ship combat stuff was fun, I guess. Like when you're out on the actual water. The water
Yeah.
looked good. Like the actual
Okay.
simulation of like the
Sure,
ships
yeah,
on
water
the
action.
ocean.
This
Okay.
game is on season 4.
How?
It is. They had a full roadmap. When they
stop.
came out, they were like, here's the full year of content. And Ubisoft does not back down from that stuff.
Ubisoft does not give up on games easy. I can tell you that, unless
Yeah.
it's Hyperscape.
I also think it's telling that one of the last reveals of Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, they were very specific about what you could do with ship combat in that game. Like they are talking about like jumping onto ships, fighting dudes, running into them, decking out your ship the way you want. It's like they were watching the way Skull and Bones was marketed. It was like, let's do the opposite of that.
I'll say, since it is like a multiplayer oriented award, there is like, because Skull and Bones has certain areas of the ocean that are like PvP designated. I believe I wrote about it in my review too, but there is like a sense of like fear and urgency when you're like sailing through those waters and you're like, you know, trying to get to the other end and you like see ships like in the distance and you're like, oh god, are they after me? Are they going to try to like take my loot, or are they just trying to get by as well? There's like a cool dynamic there, but that's about as much as I can give it from a multiplayer game.
How much of the game would be improved by the ships not having a stamina bar?
I mean, how much would be improved if you didn't walk around on islands when you're 2 feet, like a 2011 immersive sim, you know? Yeah.
Well, people
Lot
were
of
upset that you were
improvements.
only a ship at first, so they made the walking around mode, and then that wasn't
Right.
good. Because, like, I don't know, day one in Sea of Thieves, you could put yourself in a cannon and shoot yourself to an island. And I was like, well, this is a fun video game. And, like,
Yeah.
there's nothing in Skull and Bones that's even close to that when it comes to fun. I think that's the problem.
It's a bit strange. So they missed all that fun factor.
The
being a
history
thing.
behind the game is fascinating. Not only is it delayed, but like this all stemmed from Assassin's Creed 3, the best part of the game being the ship combat. And then they made Black Flag, and then like that was
But
more
how-
focused on ship combat.
4?
Now they made
Was
this.
it the fourth
right?
Assassin's Creed?
I think
4
so.
was Black Flag,
Or,
yeah.
Yeah.
Or was Black Flag?
Yep.
Covering
But I
this since
get, I get
2017.
Greg's point. And it started out like they literally just needed to make this more of that, and instead they kind of went off the reservation a little bit to its detriment.
How can we monetize?
How can we monetize?
How can we
Yeah.
monetize this game we're already charging $70 for?
Yeah.
Well, it's a quadruple A game, you see.
That's true.
Exactly.
Quadruple
Quadruple.
prices.
So,
you've been covering since the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie came out. I think that's probably a sign it's not
Yeah.
heading in the right direction.
there are so many rumors about this game that like it had this, it had that, it's been redone. Like, who knows what this game was in 2016 and 17 versus what it is now, and like what's happened in between. But yeah, I don't know.
There's a Matt
It's-
McMuscles video in here somewhere, so we'll wait for that to come out.
Yep. We mentioned XDefiant. It's a perfectly competent shooter that just needs more people playing it. So that's why it's here in this category. I don't.
XDefiant. I think for like poor man's Call of Duty, I think XDefiant is really good, and that's why we also have it nominated in Best Free to Play.
Yeah.
I think for what it is and what it offers, without that $70 entry fee, like that's a perfectly good shooter. I actually like XDefiant.
Yeah,
But you're right. There's nobody playing it right now. That's the issue, because people want to pay that $70 to go play Call of Duty.
Or they have it on Game Pass.
Also, that's the biggest detriment to XDefiant is that it came out in the same year as Black Ops 6, which is probably on pace to be the most beloved COD in recent memory, which is unfortunate for them. But it is a fun, like, free-to-play, like, straightforward first-person shooter, and I like that they kind of integrate the different Ubisoft IP into, like, the classes where there's, like, the Rainbow Six class or the Watch Dogs faction or whatever. Like, that stuff's
Yeah, they got gimmicky with the Watch Dogs faction. Like, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, Donovan loves Watch Dogs. He's a Watch Dogs apologist. So
I do.
When I tried out XDefiant, like I think it was like early this year, and I mentioned that there was a Watch Dogs faction, that got Donovan's attention. He's like, really?
And they're cool. Doesn't the Watch Dogs faction have like the cloak ability too, where you can like go invisible or something? One of them.
They sure do.
See? So cool. Where's Watch Dogs 4? That's the wrong category for that.
Anyway, so yeah, does anyone want to speak on Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League?
I think that's as bad as that game is in pretty much every other fashion. It can be more tolerable if you have, if not friends, at least other randos that you can go through that world with. Because if anything, it makes a lot of those tedious missions take less time. But the lobby system was just borked from the start, and once they actually fixed it, like there was nobody left playing it. So you know, I think I wound up giving Suicide Squad like a 5. I think if you give that like a half decent lobby system, it gets like maybe a 6, and is maybe like a cult classic down the road. But nah, it's just one of many things that's wrong with that game.
I think just making a superhero / supervillain game and then just making everybody a Gears of War character seemed bad.
It seems bad, but like the appeal of that thing would have been co-op. And if you don't have a strong lobby system, and if you don't have people playing, then what's the point?
Yeah.
As a huge Batman, as one of the biggest Batman fans on staff, Denny's probably one too because he's wearing a shirt today. But like, I was really disappointed. Like, I don't know why they went with like this crackdown kind of feel for it when like the free flow combat system is so good and would have felt even great to do in co-op with 4 players online, but maybe they just couldn't figure out how to do it. And I loved the Rogues Gallery. I think Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn, and Deadshot are all great characters to utilize, and the story was interesting. The story's definitely interesting. And it was also Kevin Conroy's last role as Batman before he passed. Which makes this even worse because the game was just not like, if it can't grab even my attention, they got the Batman statues behind them. It's got no chance. Like, what chance does it have?
Especially with the way the character goes out in this, but that's not the issue in this category. But no, I get what Greg's saying. Like this should have been a home run.
Yeah.
And they put it. They delayed it. They said, okay, we're gonna go back and we're gonna do such and such and such, and they can only do so much, and still came out the way it came out.
Got that Warner Brothers stink on it, man. I'm telling you. That company is cursed.
Millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars wasted.
Yeah. And then Nintendo World Championships NES edition. It did not land, Ozzy. It did not, like, a lot of things on Switch this year just didn't stick like they would have in past years. And this was one where I was like, wow, this is like a great nostalgia bomb. And also, like, it brought some interesting IP back, right? Like, I think there's a whole generation of people who probably have not played a Kid Icarus game or Ice Climbers or even Zelda 2. So I thought it was pretty exciting when they announced it. I played it a lot the first few weeks when it was out. Steve, what do you think of this as like a Nintendo expert of the staff?
Yeah, see, here's the thing. When I first heard about it, I thought the online play was going to be not what it was. I thought you were going to be actual play against actual people and go against top scores against actual people, except other than their ghosts, which, because I was going to stream it a lot on the show and do online competition, see if I could get best score. And then you find out that like a day before, it doesn't have online play. It's just competition against other people's top score.
Yeah.
And then in typical Nintendo fashion, they can't handle the hacking at all. And the top scorers are just like, beat the monster in the dungeon Zelda 2, and this top score is like 0.5 of a second. And I gave up on it. Like, I was sorry, Greg. I was doing the challenges like every week, and I was like, "The hell with this! I'm done with that." So if I gave it up, and I
that was what
Nintendo,
That's why I asked you, Steve, because I noticed. I was like, Steve, this is like a game built for both of us, and I think David too. And like all of us bounced off of it really quickly because of that asynchronous competition. Like if they brought the 99 format to this,
Yep,
it could have been awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it fell flat. And yeah, like it's a game that I wish it had different features so that it could have a larger population. So I do think it fits in this category. It's very rare to see a first party Nintendo game in this category.
And
it kind of speaks to the miss that they had.
And like it's like Steve said, the issue is like the hacks. It's not like it's one thing to use speedrun strats because we see that, and I thought it was actually kind of cool to see some of the speedrun strats at work and be like, oh, I know a different way to do this now.
Yeah,
like that's educational. That's interesting. Having people actually cheating, that sucks. And
they even gave you some of the intel, right? Like they scanned in like the Nintendo Power. Like
those are bespoke. Those were brand new.
Oh, they made it look like a Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, they made it look like a Nintendo Power. So like that's the part where I was like, man, this is really pulling on all the nostalgia like strings perfectly. And then the gameplay loop kind of failed us. And it's just unfortunate because I really do think there's something cool about that game still. To your point, Steve, like, yeah, it's not multiplayer, but like I know you're a competitive person, even probably with yourself. So getting everything to S+, right? Like that is still something out there that like I was into at first, and like it was to me, it was like, okay, I really like I like Kirby. I'm gonna go through all of the Kirby levels. I'm like, I don't know. The thing that this game did for me was it reminded me that I really liked Zelda 2. Like that's a really good game that people have forgotten about. And it was just nice to see Nintendo acknowledge it, because normally they kind of push it aside and act like it never happened kind of thing, because it's such a different gameplay loop than any other Zelda game. But some of those dungeons and those boss battles were actually amazing.
The swordplay in that game was the inspiration for Ocarina of Time. Like for an 8-bit game, it was really, really good.
Yeah, the combat, the battle chess that they had in the 80s there, I think you see inspirations in even like Souls games today. But like, and it was very difficult too. Like it's not an easy game.
To Oz's point, and to Steve's point, the 99 games were such a success for them. F-Zero, Mario, and Tetris. Like, why not take that same kind of formula and do it to Zelda 2? How amazing would that? You know, that's that's a big miss, I think. I think they did it so well, and then this came out and it was like, oh, this is interesting, but okay. And you're like, sure.
That was my biggest issue with this game, and it actually might show up on my top 10 list because I did really like it, but it was so bare bones in a lot of ways. Like it really felt slapped together, and I feel like if this was back in the day, it would not have received the Nintendo seal of quality. Like it just felt so.
Well, that seal of quality's been the seal of quality's been gone for a really long time, David.
Ever since the eShop opened up.
I know.
I was so confused when I booted it up because I didn't realize that I missed the boat on how the multiplayer worked. So when I read the back of the box and I was like, oh cool, I tested against other players from around the world. I was like, okay, well I'm going to practice the solo mode and speedrunning before I try these weekly world championships. And I got into the championship and I'm like, okay, here we go. All right, come on. I'm not very good, but I'm going to try my best, see how other people, and it was like, here's the player data. I'm like, hold up. Wait, I'm not. Wait, hold up. I'm not actually playing against other people live. Like, what's going on? Yeah, it was very confusing.
I think a lot of people felt tricked by that, and even their original marketing, it didn't. Like, we didn't know until later. Like, there was that reveal trailer, but then there was like a more in-depth preview trailer or whatever, and we're like, oh. And then we had hands-on events. I do think this is a game that would have thrived at E3. This is a game that you would have had 100 demo stations at E3, and people would have been playing it, and there would have been a pin or something that you could get, because there were so many pins in that game.
It would also be a good candidate for Shacknews Electronic Sports, honestly. Like I think we would have had a lot of fun with that, but it just the multiplayer just wasn't there.
Yeah,
because it is local 8-player, isn't it?
Yeah, and to put a fine point on what the category is, I mean, we really wish this would be a better online experience. But locally, if you get 7 other players together, it's actually a really fun party game at home.
It is, but it's and it's cool to pass the controller. But also like I think the best part of it is that it is it's like it's a bridge for a lot of young people to discover new IP, like this IP that they never knew existed, right? So like I think there's a whole group of people that probably never knew that Zelda 2 existed, or Kid Icarus, or maybe they missed out on some of the Kirby games, or maybe they didn't even know that Mario's Lost Levels existed, right? Like I think it's cool that we have Mario's Lost Levels and Mario 2 in here.
Yeah, you were expressing your love for Zelda 2. This just reminded me we're never gonna see a game like Mario 2 USA again. Like it's never gonna happen, just because the Mario formula is what it is, and you cannot make a sequel to Mario 2 without overhauling the formula again, and it's never gonna happen. So this is a nice little time capsule for me, as somebody who really, really loved Mario 2 back in the day.
Same here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, I think you're gonna find something that you want to try to get better at in that game. So like I do, as much as I was disappointed by the lack of multiplayer, I'm also kind of a single player person these days. So just being able to try to compete with myself, I did enjoy. Trying to, okay, first time I played, I got an A. I want to get S rated on everything. I wanted to clear all the Excite Bike stuff, but yeah, it had diminishing returns. Anyway, I think we should probably vote, right? Think you guys are ready to vote? Anyone else want to chime in on anything? Sam, you got anything to say about Concord? No?
Oh yeah, I knew we forgot.
No, I couldn't even play it, man. I tried to play it during the beta period and it just didn't run. So I'm like, all right, cool. This was sick. And yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Fine shooter that doesn't have lobbies anymore instead.
David, I'm gonna start with you here.
I think since this is a category in which we want people to play a game more, I'm going to have to go Nintendo World Championships.
Okay. Donovan.
I will say XDefiant.
I think the most Concord thing to happen here is for Concord not even to win this. TJ.
I'm also gonna go XDefiant.
My God. What are we? Okay, Ozzy.
I'm also gonna say XDefiant. I wish more people would play that. It's not like a 9 or a 10, but it is a solid 7.
Mm-hmm. Another box quote.
Another box quote, yeah. Solid, okay.
It's not a 9 or a 10, but
it's a solid
on the 7. Back of the a solid 7.
Ozzy shrugging on the back. It's all right. It's
not
fine.
My problem. Just Ozzy doing the "not my problem" meme with that quote underneath it. Okay, Sam.
Yeah, XDefiant, pop me down.
Wow. Okay, this did not go as I expected at all. Bill voted for Concord. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Greg.
I'm also gonna vote for Concord.
Okay. Danny.
I'm leaning more towards the XDefiant route. I'm gonna have to give it some love.
Nice. Steve.
Yeah, I'm going with Concord.
Okay.
Yeah. Steve, I don't know you at all.
I can't say Nintendo because people are playing it. And I mean, quiet.
Part of me does like that Nintendo kind of Quietest lobby proofed this whole thing by putting ghost data.
Yeah. Yeah, people are playing it. Okay. My vote doesn't matter. Oh wait. No, yeah, my vote doesn't matter. Because David, you voted for Nintendo World Championships.
I did.
I'm gonna vote for Skull and Bones. Wow. I was really looking forward to that for the past 8 years, and it just didn't really live up to my expectations.
It was real until this year.
I believed, Ozzy. You know, I always believed. No, I believed that it was fake. I constantly asked.
The running gag of the staff. That game's not real. Donovan's not really going to an event. It's not real. There's no way.
I'm like, that can't be real. Like, I remember when we got the preview coverage, like, here's the beta. I'm like, this isn't real. And then even the stream they did, remember they did that stream before it even came out, and they're like, here's the world of Skull and Bones. I'm like, that's not real. That's not going to be what
That's just Black Flag under a different skin.
Anyway, I like pirate games. I want a good pirate game, and when a pirate game fails me, I'm disappointed.
It's a good thing you're about to get one in a few months.
This actually came up in the chat. Has there been a good pirate game since Sid Meier's Pirates? I would argue maybe not. It's hard to think of
Sea
one.
of Thieves is not terrible. It's
People
not
like
the
Black-
best game, but
People like
there was a
Black Flag,
moment.
right?
It's a solid
So-
7.
It is. I think
put
you
a
might have given Sea of
Assassin's
Thieves
Creed
a
in
higher
there.
rating.
Sea of Thieves is phenomenal. They've done so well with that. It's
And they
really
came to
good.
PlayStation this year, so good on them.
I think Sea of Thieves is like actually. Oh, there's people still playing it. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's real. It's out there. They have seasons. I guess so does Star Wars Outlaws. Anyway, I digress. With 5 votes to 3 votes for Concord to 1 for Nintendo World Champion, and this one very important vote for Skull and Bones, XDefiant has won the Shacknews Award for the quietest lobby of 2024.
You think